What's up everyone? Welcome to another video of Robocraft. And this time we'll be looking at a robot that I built recently. And hopefully we'll turn this into kind of a longer series where we showcase the robots we've been working on, talk about their strengths, weaknesses, etc. But I just wanted to start off with showing you the robot overall. It's a bot that I built after playing a lot in T4. I pretty much have had the same basic bot design since I've started the game. It's changed slightly over time, but it's mostly remained the same. And I've been using that bot to advance through the tiers pretty steadily. I haven't made many adjustments to it, so I knew that I wanted to build something entirely new. Now the design for this ship was based off of the Star Wars universe's Corelian Corvettes, which you can mostly see in the rear portion of the ship. It's got the rack thrusters. But I kind of went a different way with the front and turned it into these two forward-facing kind of fist-looking contraptions. So when I was building this, I wanted aesthetics to come first before everything. I spent a lot of blocks in CPU making sure the bot had some curves, or the best you can do with curves in a block-based game, as well as symmetrical look to it. So this is what it ended up being. I really enjoy the look of it. It's not at all like my other bot, which is just utility and quite ugly. I think it looks pretty streamlined, but a lot of CPU was spent building it to getting it to move. I decided to go with a hovercraft build because when I started finishing up the aesthetic touches, I realized that this wouldn't look very good if it had wheels sticking out of it. So I decided to make it a hovercraft, and I decided to make the components hidden. Like I said, the wheels were ugly, but I also didn't particularly want the hover blades. So what I did was I hid the hover blades inside the front fist thingies. There's two in each front bit, as well as two in the back, and in this middle shaft there's a third. So it has a lot of even stability to it. And then to give a little more oomph, as I showed you before, the rear section has 4 thrusters. As for its weapon armament, it has 5 plasma turrets. It originally just had 3. It originally just had these first 3 in the front of the ship, then I added the 2 at the rear. It's 1 T4 plasma cannon and then 4 T3 plasma cannons. With this design I wanted to make it T3 optimized, so I'm trying to skirt the barrier between T3 and T4 as closely as I can. And currently the biggest limiting factor is the CPU. I'm not high enough of a level to put as much on it as I want. A lot of CPU went into designing it, and a lot of CPU went into getting it to move, and then the weapons kind of had to be a last addition. But, I'm okay with that because it's a really fun bot to use. So let's see it in battle. As you can see, it's a pretty agile bot. It's fast, but the controls are also touchy. You'll pull to the right if you put too much force on the right. You'll keep sliding, so you need to work with some counter force. The funny thing is that this was actually my first plasma build. I'm not used to using these kind of weapons, so I'm still getting used to how it works. Now the thing with building a hovercraft like this is that when it gets busted up, when either of those front wings gets busted up, you pretty much lose control of the craft's entire maneuverability. However, I have learned that minor damage won't affect its performance too much. Particularly the front bumper thingies tend to be able to take some abuse. However, armor is really not this bot's strongest point. I think its maneuverability and aesthetics really are the winning points. I'm pretty happy with how the aesthetic form of this robot turned out. I'm not someone who can design things very well, especially on block games. I can barely build good-looking houses in Minecraft. But this, when I really looked at a picture of the Corelian Corvette, I really kind of got some good ideas for what I wanted to do with it, and it turned out pretty good, I think. It's a fun bot to use, mostly because it looks pretty good. It's like a project bot, you know, like a project car, but a project robot, in that I'm still tinkering with a lot of the settings. Particularly, I'm not sure how I want the end weapon system to be. I'm also experimenting with trying to get it to move faster, more agile, even though it's pretty much agile right now. I think I can get more out of it, particularly if I have more thrusters and maybe more hover blades. When I initially built the robot, I didn't put any weapons on it at all. I just maxed the CPU, getting it to move, just to see what would happen, and that turned out to be a really zippy creation. It moved around fast and agile, but I had to take things off to put the guns on. Here's an example of the robot taking some stabilization damage.